Dr. Adi, he's talked about the workings of the legislature and the executive, how it all comes down to what's on ground and what's being proposed. Is that the way to go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it from a very technical perspective. You know, we say that two good heads are better than one. So after the executive, the budget office has produced the budget proposal, of course, based on data that they have. I want to believe that, okay, going by what we call the theory, public choice theory in economics, that the incentive of the legislators is to make laws or to do things that are in the best interest of Nigerians. So they will now take the budget proposal and interrogate it. Interrogate it in the background of, like he said, the information that they have, their interaction with their constituency, with the people that they represent. So they call for briefings from, executive briefs from the various ministries who come to defend the budget. So I want to believe that they act in the best interest of Nigerians, and I also want to believe that they are competent enough to interrogate the budget, because that is what's most important. So where he says that, you know, sometimes when they expect that there's going to be some increase in expected receipt to the federal revenue account, then they can scale up the budget by a certain amount. I have problems with that. Okay. Okay. For instance, the budget benchmarked oil price $42.5. It has been coming down. We have it 43. So what if it goes below that? And moreover, there is a certain projection of what is going to the revenue that is going to come from the from oil. I think it's about 1.9 trillion or so, or thereabouts. So something like that. So if they go beyond that, where is that the excess going to come from? And beyond that also, I have problems with the fiscal deficit, the budget deficit that we are running, because it has impact on the ability of the government to stimulate private sector investment in the economy. Because when the deficit is large as it is, so what happens is that it's going to crowd out private investment. Crowding out private investment means that government is looking for ways where to borrow the money.
Okay. Now, based on the budget we have, and based on the explanations on both from Honorable Asoko and Dr. Adi about processes of the budget, of working the budget, let's look at it from the legal side. The government has a deficit right now. How much of it can they go for legally based on the Constitution? And does the Constitution, they say the processes they should go through? Because at the end of the day, they say have to go back to the National Assembly to approve before they even go about borrowing.
I think with the explanation of the Honorable Member Zukyo, I think we have serious problems on our hands in Nigeria. I listened attentively to what he said, and I was able to discern that what we have is a contest for power. The legislature, they are executive minded. They see the executive arm as an arm of government to be battled, to be suppressed, to be overcome. That's why he said whatever intention is in their proposal becomes dead on arrival the moment they bring it. So they have the power over them. So it's a contest for power, and the power is about money. It's about who has the power to allocate the resources. They believe they are the ones to determine.
They believe the Constitution gives them the power to allocate.
Because they believe they have the power to legislate. So they can legislate their own intention. Not the intention of the government.
Hold on.
Of the executive arm.
They believe.
Yes.
I thought it's the Constitution that gives them that power.
Yes, Constitution gives them that power, but that power is it's not well defined. And that's why I believe that Constitution itself is very defective. And if care is not taken, that Constitution will still kill Nigeria. They are insisting on their powers in that Constitution because it is good, it gives them leeway. Where the Constitution narrows their powers, they will be attacking it. But when they are very comfortable to use it to achieve their own whims and caprices, it is okay. And every time they will be insisting that's the constitution. So until the constitution is amended, who will amend the constitution?
Exactly. What's the role of the judiciary in all of that? I mean, the Supreme Court can make a statement.
Well, there has been proposals for this issue to be taken to the courts. And usually it is better to avoid such. But it depends on the attitude of the leadership of each arm of government. For instance, in America, where we borrowed all this system, when last did you hear them bickering over budget? It's because some rules have been agreed upon. You don't cross over from this to this, even though the Constitution says this, there is a threshold. But here there is contest for power. And when you look at people in the National Assembly, they can only produce what they are made of. No one can give what it does not have. They are giving you what they have. They are executive minded. Many of them would like to switch position. And he said something again.
Many of them were in the executive.
They were also in the executive. That's true. So that makes them more executive minded. They are looking at things from the executive perspective. That who has the power. When they were in the executive arm, many of them suppressed their own legislation. Those who were governors before, they won't allow their House of Assembly to do what they themselves are now doing in the National Assembly. And I think the part of the problem, in fact, the major aspect of the problem is constitutional. There will be need to go to look at that constitution again, because there is so much money. You mentioned how will they get this money. The constitution, if you look at the exclusive list of items or the federal legislative list, it's a preserve of the federal government. All the major means of making money, revenue, have been appropriated to the government by those framers of this so-called constitution. Who are those framers? The military boys. The military framed this constitution, not the Nigerian people. So what they are insisting on is what the military has designed for them, and they are insisting it must be implemented. So I believe this must not continue in the interest of Nigerians, because at the end of the day, you see his approach about who is a minister is just an appointee. We are the elected representatives of the people. So you can sense there is contest for power. They have disdain for these ministers who come to protect or even to defend those budgets. They have disdain for them. You can see it clearly. So in essence, they believe the executive is actually trespassing into a role that is supposed to be reserved for them. Then why are you asking for proposal from the executive? Why not just go ahead and just slam your after all, you can initiate bill from your house and then say, maybe the constitution says it is government that will make a proposal, the executive fund will make a proposal to the legislature. So, but you said all those their proposal become dead on arrival. So that means the constitution is defeated. Okay. So there is a reason why the constitution provides that the executive must place that proposal, the proposed bill, before the National Assembly. There is also a reason why there is an engagement. Now, the point I want to make, at the point when you people feel that you need to increase or decrease or remove from, which you have the power to do, don't you think, in accordance with the reasonable role of engagement, that you need to also go back to them? They feel they are too big to go back to the executive. Otherwise, all these issues have the Minister for Works, who said they agreed on some money coming from somewhere else. He has said clearly that he disagreed with what they did, which means the information he gave us may not be acceptable to the executive arm at all. And if any money is coming from another place, are you saying now, if I self-defeatist, are you saying the executive can now spend that money without the money being rooted and to be appropriated? You are now saying that they have another source of money that they will use to implement that contract, but that money has not been appropriated. That is illegal. That's criminal. Okay. It's very dangerous. What you have said is very dangerous.
Dr. Adi,
Yeah, what I wanted to add, because he's talking about the contest for power, that is a contest for power.
Contest.
Yeah, as if the executive is one side, on one side, yes, and the legislator is on the other side, yes, and the ministers. But I see them as the same, part of the same.
That's what they're supposed to be.
Okay, that is what they are, and I think that is a problem. Some people who review the budget said that the budget system in Nigeria is statist. You were talking about the constitution that was framed by the military. Yes. So for me, it's a dictatorship of the elected. Okay. That is what the kind of thing we have. And I don't see any difference between the executive, the legislature, and even the judiciary, because they all seem to work in concert. The problem here is that the constitution protects only the elected. The constitution does not work for the average Nigerian. So at the end of the day, the question to ask is how much of this budget gets implemented? Yes. What is the percentage of budget implementation? Let's go back last year. How much of the budget, or all the things outlined in the budget, how much of it, how many of the projects were executed? So that is what we need to look at. Now, this is May. Very soon, this is June. Sorry, June. So we have 6, the year is already gone. Oh. And then we are talking about budget 2017. Remember, this is an economy in recession. Okay, so they said, well, our problem is not even getting out of the recession. Now look at it, the population growth rate of Nigeria is about 3%. Now the budget projected a 2.5% growth in GDP. 2.5% growth, and when you have a 3% growth in population. So your growth rate is not compensating for your population growth rate. So what are you doing? And then over the years, which is not enough. Okay, but now we need to have a growth rate of at least 7 to 8% in order to compensate for the population growth rate that we have. Yeah. And that is not happening. 2.5%, 3% population growth rate. So we have still a very huge deficit. Yes.